We'll get to the finish of the race in a moment, but great to have five-time Jimmie Johnson here in our Inside NASCAR studios. And by the way, on the cover of Sports Illustrated this week.
Yeah,
I know
awesome.
the awards keep coming,
Yes.
but thanks for being
Way
with us.
cool.
We'll talk big picture and chase in a moment and maybe another championship. But we saw the Austin Dillon pushing. Some drivers were complaining. Should NASCAR, do you have a thought on that? We know the rule in the last lap. Should they just blanket it for the race? Hey, no pushing of teammates?
Yeah, I mean, and I was probably one of the guys on the radio that you have audio of saying, hey, look what I see up here. And what brought it to my attention was in one of the drivers' meetings, NASCAR mentioned that anything in that general area was going to be looked at, and in a NASCAR way, they were very vague about it. And I just wanted to kind of point it out on the radio and say, hey, I thought that stuff wasn't going to be allowed. And my spotter had said that they were talking about it already, and they quit doing it. So.
Yeah, and they were vague about it. They were vague about it even on the radio. They said, let's see some gap. Then they talked about maintaining speed. So they were all over the board on it. I mean, last lap is something totally different. In the middle of the race, that's something totally different. So, I mean, the question, I mean, where do you...
It all, I mean, sure, we're 4 laps, I think, at that point short on fuel.
Yes.
It'd be great to shut my engine off and have Mark Martin push me because he's not in the chase, but you can't do that stuff. And I'm glad that it seems like they got involved, although it was vague, but that's kind of the way things work anyway. And you shouldn't be able to do that, period.
Yeah, they did get involved. It was interesting hearing David Hoots, telling them to separate themselves and give them some room. But I did think it was interesting, though, because it is a last lap situation where you can or you cannot push someone to the finish line. But I think the whole issue is just about maintaining pace. I think that's where the problem is with this. I mean, if you're looking at Austin Dillon pushing Kevin Harvick there, I think the issue is whether or not Kevin Harvick is maintaining pace. Yeah, he is saving some fuel, but is he maintaining pace? I think that's the issue.
Being out there, I have less of a problem with maintaining pace because how you sit in order behind the pace car doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
I mean,
it makes no difference until you line back up.
But if your engine's off and a guy's pushing you, that is a huge advantage to having teammates on the racetrack or alliances on the racetrack.
What's the pace of this chase so far, in your view?
Man, it's been fast in a way, but it's been tough to understand or to predict or to count on one team and driver week in and week out. And I'll use Kansas in race practice on Saturday as an example. If you looked at lap tracker, the 33 and the 99 were going to run away with the show. And that's what we kind of formed as an opinion. When we looked at the race, the 99 rebounded well, but I never saw the 33 all day long, and I lapped the 99 once or twice out there. So it's very, very tough to predict. And then as a competitor, it's very, very tough to go to bed at night on Saturday night and say, my stuff's going to be good tomorrow. It's changing every day, and I don't know why it's so fickle this year versus other years, but, man, you just don't know.
Has that been the biggest change you've noticed this year compared to the last 5 years when you've been so dominant in the chase? I mean,
I think so. I mean, we've been able to, in years past, say, all right, this is our mile-and-a-half setup, and it works everywhere within, a small spring change or two. Now it seems that it's very specific. This is your Kentucky setup. This is your Kansas. This is your Charlotte. There are some common things that cross over, but even then at times you second guess what you're doing. So it's been a challenging year, and it's nice to see that it's not just us. I look around and everybody's facing it in the garage area, and at the end of the day, I think it's putting on a good show for the fans. It's tough on us, but so be it. It's pro sports, as long as it's a good sport.
You guys are still stout, though, man. I tell you, you passed my race car about 5 times.
Looking at the points, Chad said, and I asked him, do you think it's going to take an average 5th place or 6th place finish in the last 10 races? And he said, no, not this year. It's going to be more like 8 or 9. Why is this year so much different than previous years when you look at it?
I think he's right. We're all aiming for that, 5 average, but it's just been that inconsistency factor as we were just talking about. I mean, another part to think of is when we have these schedules where we get all of our practice on Friday, and then you have to make decisions on how your car is going to drive 2 days later, and all the race traffic that goes on, the track heating and cooling, whatever those conditions are. Sometimes it's raining on Friday or sprinkling, and then it's sunny on Sunday. The schedule, the cars, I don't know if there's been some tire changes that we're not really aware of that are building inconsistencies, if it's just the COT, but there's something going on where it is so tough to go to bed at night and say, we're going to be good tomorrow. You show up on race day and be like, man, I've made the best decisions I can. We'll see.
And then you get in it and you say, I've never driven this car before.
Where'd this come from?
Hi, I'm Brad Keselowski. Watch Inside NASCAR on Showtime.
Inside NASCAR, all new Wednesdays at 10, 9 Central on Showtime.